Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Heather Lewis, and if you've been here before, you know what we're doing. We are making over a dresser, and today's dresser is going to be this one. It's a 5-drawer tall boy dresser, and this unfortunately is not solid wood. It is just MDF particle board. It's not as high quality of a piece as I thought it was, but that's okay. I did already go ahead and throw a custom base on this piece. I didn't get any footage of it before, but the original base was falling apart. Like I said, this is MDF, so it had a lot of water damage on the bottom and it was just fraying out. When MDF gets to that point, there's really nothing you can do about it. Now this base is solid wood and it's also lifted off the ground, so there will be no chance of further water damage. Now that we know a little bit more about this piece, let's go ahead and start the makeover. First things first is always taking the hardware off, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna use this flathead screwdriver today because this hardware is pretty old. It should come off pretty easy. These two top drawers only have the circular knobs, so all I have to do is take these off and then not worry about them. I do think I will be changing out the hardware, but I'm not gonna have to go ahead and fill in these holes because I will just go ahead and replace them with different circular knobs. However, when it does come to the last bottom 3, I'm going to have to fill in those holes because I'm not going to be able to find something that will replace it with the same length between each hole, if that makes sense. So these two top drawers, I really don't have to worry about filling in the holes, but the bottom 3, I will have to. Way towards the end of the video, you will see that I actually decided to keep the 5 circular knobs. It wasn't too outdated and it really saved on the cost of putting into this piece, so I just decided to save them and it looked really good still. As I got further into taking the hardware off, I decided to just go ahead and grab my drill because the screwdriver was taking quite a bit of time and I knew my drill would just get these hardware pieces out really fast, so I did do that for the bottom 3. After all of the hardware was off, I started taking out the drawers and noticed that one of the drawer slides were broken, so before I could move on any further, I had to make sure and fix that. Now there's several methods you can do to fixing a drawer slide, but I decided to just take some Gorilla wood glue, put it on where the drawer slide was supposed to be, and then I also did a double bond where I put some glue on the drawer slide itself, and then I just put something heavy on it like a paint can and just let it sit for at least 24 hours and hope that it sticks. You kind of have to play around with this method. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Luckily, it did end up working this time, so I just had to make sure that it still fit into the dresser itself. It was smooth sailing from here, so we could move on to the rest of the prep work. The next step was sanding, so I did take 150 grit sandpaper and start scuff sanding. You do want to be careful when you are sanding an MDF piece. You don't want to go too hard on the grit. I would do nothing over 120. But even on MDF particle board pieces, it is important to give it at least a good scuff sand. This will really help your paint adhere to the piece, and I'm not going to be using a primer on this piece either, so I think it's especially important to give this a really good scuff sand. And of course, when you are done sanding it, make sure you go ahead and clean the piece and especially wipe down all the dust. I like to use Dawn dish soap. It really helps get rid of all the grime. After the piece was clean, I started taking out the bottom 3 drawers so that I could go ahead and fill in the hardware holes since we will be switching out the hardware. I'm just using this Dry Deck spackling. I often get asked why I use spackling over wood filler, and it's really just a preference. I like the fact that this is pink when it goes on, and then you know that it's dry when it's white, and I just think it's smoother and I like working with it more. Otherwise, there's really no reason. If anything, I think maybe it does dry a little bit faster and it sands off a little bit easier, but other than that, again, there's really no reason. If you've made it this far into the video and you like this type of content, please make sure to give this a thumbs up and subscribe, as it really does help small channels like mine grow. After filling in the hardware holes, I stopped for the day and came back the next day to sand off the excess, and I am just using a 100 AM50 grit again here, getting all of the excess spackling off, as well as giving these drawers a scuff sand that they didn't get yesterday. I also made sure to take a wet paper towel and wipe back all of the dust, because the next step is going to be painting this piece, and you don't want any of that residue left in the paint, otherwise it could cause tannins and you just don't want that for your piece. I am painting a new to me paint line called Country Chic. I've been wanting to try this brand for quite some time, and I've actually had this paint for a while, and I'm just finally now getting to trying it out. This is a beautiful medium green color called Hollow Hill, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think it turned out really good on this dresser. I did get this paint off of Amazon, and if you want to try it for yourself, I will make sure to leave a link in my description box down below, as well as with any other products that were used in this video, so that you can go ahead and try it out. Right away, I could tell that this paint had really good coverage. I will tell you, I only had to do 2 coats on this, but you can just see how well it's covering the surface, and I just think it's really a great brand of paint. I did forget to mention that I am not priming, because this paint is an all-in-one paint, which means I also don't have to top coat either, and in this video, you'll see that I didn't prime or top coat. However, since this is a chalk paint, just about anything that rubs against the surface can kind of leave marks on it. So I do think I will go back and put a top coat on it. It's not necessary, but I think that it'll be better in the long run. After the first coat was on, I let it dry, and I later came back and I could tell that it did need a second coat. It was almost there, but just not quite, so I did go ahead and do that second coat, and after the second coat, it did have full coverage. So then I started worrying about the new hardware, and I didn't get any footage of it because I like to show you guys in the final reveal. It is more of a farmhouse style hardware, and I think it goes well with the color of the dresser and the existing circular knobs, so I just think it worked out perfectly, and I think it's probably time that we get into the final reveal. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this dresser.
Try to